wife was a little bit more graphic, I guess. But it's about it's about this idea where you can use command ability to have a lucid say to yourself, I want to have a lucid dream. You should be able to manifest that just from the just from verbally saying that. This is an interesting plot. Let me show you. The question is, okay, so you have this lucid deep dream where it's like you cannot tell whether or not you are in which reality you're in. It doesn't. You're in an alternate reality, and it's like you're playing yourself. You don't even see yourself other than in the 3D, or not the 3D, in the first person, where you're looking through the eyes of whatever this dream you're having is going through. And my argument is, what if you're possibly tapping into an alternate self? I always talk about that. Like, the analogy I've given in the past was that you're sitting you're standing and you're washing dishes. And you're washing dishes, and when you're washing dishes, that act of washing dishes becomes very, very therapeutic. It becomes very, maybe even like a crochet. A person who's crocheting something, there's a place of relaxation that you go into in certain modes, where sleep is one of the main ones. But while being awake, while being fully aware, I would argue that if you're standing there washing dishes, do you remember the times where you were just finishing up washing dishes and you just knew your shirt was wet? You just knew that the bottom edge of your shirt got wet from the edge of the sink. You just knew this. But yet you look down, or you feel with your hands, like, oh my goodness, my hands are gonna get my shirt wet because my shirt is not wet. And I would argue that you actually slipped into an alternate self-reality. An alternate one of yourselves was doing that same exact thing, washing the dishes, being in that relaxed mode, and they are the ones that wet the edge of that shirt, or the bottom part of that shirt, or wherever the sink in your shirt lines up got wet. And when you're doing dishes, it's not a big deal if you wet the shirt. You kind of just, you poke your butt out a little bit and suck in your stomach just to try to like give yourself some distance. But your hands are too wet to like kind of tuck in the shirt, or even to get an apron or smock, whatever it is that you use. So you're not even really aware, and it's not a big deal. But then you realize, I didn't wet my shirt, but you almost knew you did. You almost knew, like, wait a minute, but you don't think about that. So when you're in a dream state, I would say that these kind of things happen much more easier. And possibly we're slipping into our alternate selves. And I would also argue that not only are you slipping into your alternate selves, you keep on slipping into a particular alternate self. You keep on. You would just think of it as a dream. I was taught that dreams were your fears, your wants, and your desires. And they manifest. I like to believe, okay, those are like, let me move over. Yeah, whenever you see a police officer officer with flashing lights, it's best to move over. Even though I was already in the middle lane, the car to my right of me wouldn't have been able to move over had I not moved over. And that is what he did. He moved over behind me perfectly. So, you know, our alternate selves, possibly we're constantly visiting the same alternate self, or at least very close variations of this. And it feels like you could be finishing almost some sort of story. You know, like people that brag about being able to finish their dream, like you can go back to sleep and finish your dream. I would say that you just constantly are tapping into that alternate self, unaware that you're doing so, just like when you're washing dishes. So it's like, I was talking to my son because, you know, the other day my son woke up choosing violence, choosing attitude, choosing aggression, choosing unpleasantness, and he doesn't do it often, but it happened the same day I was dealing with my dreams and my nightmares and my fears and my desires. Those dreams that, I'm going to keep it real with you, you know, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. And it's that, you know, I have these fears of, not fears, because the truth of the matter is I don't really fear this. I tap into this alternate self for the last like 5 years, and it's me. I can see my hands, I can brush my teeth, I can see myself in the mirror. I am unaware that it's not the person talking now. And in that alternate reality, or in that dream, my wife is a horn dog. She needs it every day, all the time. She will go to places to get that. Like, you know, like basically, like she'll go like to a sex club, and she'll come home from a sex club after being with many people in this place, and I would just eat it. I would just constantly just, you know, I would like dote over her, apologize for not being like, you know, the man that she needs me to be, and there will always be drama. It always will be just one after the other. Just somebody else happened. She, you know, she just didn't care. She's very cold and harsh. Nothing like the wife that I live with and love. And I first thought it was just gotta be some sort of fear that I have of her being with other people. But it's not true. I really don't fear that. I never have. I'm the kind of guy that doesn't worry about, all right, what are we doing, buddy? Am I getting over? You know, I don't have this kind of fear. So throughout the last few years, I would constantly be tapping into this person, and it would be like new situations. It would be current. Like the timeline matches with my timeline. And in this timeline, I'm a complete beta male. I'm a complete pushover. I'm an apologetic person. Like I'm an apologist. I'm just, you know, totally, I'm manginaed out. And that's nothing like my personality. My personality is super alpha, you know. You know, I'm the guy who has his plate brought to him and the table clear. You know, I'm the guy who, you know, wifey has no problem with helping me with my shoe and tying it in public. She has no, you know, like she's a very submissive woman, very submissive. All her life, she's very girly. She's not into watching like she's not the kind of woman who's gonna watch World Star fights and shootouts and all that kind of stuff. She avoids all that kind of stuff because it's just too much for her. Certain movies, she's like very squeamish, and she's not this aggressive woman that I keep on tapping into. And this particular morning, I remember waking up and just having this overwhelming feeling of just grief and just I just felt horrible because of this disgusting dream that I'm having about my significant other coming home after being with someone else on some old like there's nothing you can do about it. But I quickly shook off those thoughts and I put a smile on my face and I got up ready to handle the day.
There's a crash on New York 9A South before the Henry Hudson Bridge that is causing a delay. You can avoid it by going via I-87 South, which saves 6 minutes. If you prefer to stay on the current route, tap no thanks.
I forgot to turn that off. Sorry about that. I don't know if you heard that, but that was my Bluetooth. I mean my navigation. Anyway, so my son woke up feeling like he was just horrible, and I told him, I said, listen, the way you're acting, you can't come to the pool. And he didn't even care. He was like cocky with it. Like, he didn't say it, but the way he didn't say anything was like, I don't care, whatever. And somebody could just chalk that up to having a bad day, but he later on told me that he has a reoccurring dream that whenever I go to work, I'm with another family. I have another family, and that it stresses mom out and him out and Madison out, and they are all aware that I have this other life. And he says he's had this dream reoccurring.
In 2 miles, take the Sawmill Parkway exit toward Yonkers.
He said at least 5 times he's had this dream. And I told him, is it the same dream? But what it is just that it's the same situation with a new timeline, the same timeline he's in. That's what makes it so real. And that was one of the reasons why he woke up feeling so aggressive and angry and mad at me, his mom, everyone, because of these dreams. And I would argue, possibly, son, you're tapping into an alternate self where I am that person. I am the guy who has the other family. I don't just have you and your sister. I have another life, another family, and I use the excuse of work to live out that life. And he's an 11-year-old boy, so it's kind of interesting to tell these things to a child, that what you're possibly experiencing is not a dream. It's actually you just shifting into what could be an infinite amount of you. Whether the number is 360 because of a 360-degree circle of you, or it could be an infinite amount of yous. And
in half a mile, take the Sawmill Parkway exit toward Yonkers.
The question is that tapping into an alternate you? And does each alternate you have its own individual soul? Or is one soul able to sustain all the different variables of
Take
you?
the Sawmill Parkway exit. In a quarter mile, merge onto Sawmill Parkway South, Sawmill River Parkway South.
So these are the kind of things that I'm teaching 9 and 11-year-olds. I guess it's way out the box, but I don't want to dismiss my children's dreams to be that of just fears and desires, because
continue on Sawmill Parkway South for 4 miles.
What if the last thing we need, what if what if the last thing I need is for my children to have dreams like this, wake up mad, angry, with attitudes, and unable to express themselves? So there's a line there. I don't want to cross the line into crazy land. Arguably, I've already done that, but I don't want to cross the line as far as their mental health, their mental stability. What's going to keep their mind stronger? Learning that possibly what you are fearing is just some other alternative you that fears that. And you can overcome these fears by just understanding the possibilities and the endless amounts of theory one can have. So I truly hope I'm doing the right thing. I do fear all of what repercussions can come from this with the children and how they're going to perceive people. Like when I talk about NPCs, non-player characters, I now hear my children say things like, whoa, look at that person, that's definitely an NPC. So am I creating little monsters to some degree? But let me just say this. I have a client living out in the Hamptons, and I go see this client in the Hamptons in the summertime for the last 10 years. And I'll visit twice a summer, and I'll cater a whole entire event at least twice every summer. And let me tell you this, those children that are bred from these so-called affluent elitists or so-called it's like, I would want children like that. I would not want children like that. I would not. And I have only met, let's say, 2 or 3 kids in the Hamptons in the last 15 years that, or 10 years, that I felt were like really genuine people. And I say that respectfully, of course, you know. I mean nothing. These are just my anecdotal, you know, responses to what I've seen and been through. Anyway, what say you? What do you say about tapping into what could possibly be between 360 degrees of self to an infinite amount of selves? And could one spirit handle all those alternate selves? Because let's remember about possibly choosing to be here. Possibly.
In a quarter mile, use the right lane to take the I-287 West ramp to I-87 West Albany.
Possibly choosing to live this life here. You know what I was just thinking? Jesus, I was just thinking. They wanted me to turn here on 22.
Use the right lane to take the I-287 West ramp, then keep left.
Okay, I'll give this a go. I normally don't go this way.
Keep left.
Is this thing trying to get me to go to the Maricopa Bridge and then come around that way? No! That's crazy. What am I doing? That's why I hate navigations. Okay, I see what it's doing. I see what it's doing. I see what it's doing.
Keep left at the fork.
Alright, perfect. This is actually really good.
Continue for 3/4 of a mile.
$1.75 toll me going this way. I hate that. But this is cool.
Merge onto I-87 South.
So what say you in the comment section? What say you as far as what I just said? What do you think? Let me see if anybody is two people. T Rilla, blessed afternoon, is back. Alternative pussy dimension, of course. Who is that? YouTube subscriber. I think I'm gonna get off here to avoid the $1.75 toll. I already pay like $400 a month on tolls. When the kids were in school, we were doing $900 a month.
In a quarter mile, merge onto Sawmill River Parkway South.